Ancient diets are like the original instruction manual for the human body, and one of the clearest lessons they teach is that omnivorous ancestors thrived on carbohydrates. For millions of years, humans weren't kings of the food chain with steak on demand. They were clever scavengers and gatherers who relied heavily on roots, tubers, fruits, and grains. These starch-rich staples weren't just filler. They were survival fuel, keeping brains sharp, muscles active, and communities alive long before agriculture came along. Evolution didn't design us for bacon-only feasts. It wired us to take full advantage of carbohydrates, and that wiring still shows in how efficiently we digest and use them today. The early human digestive system tells the story best. We produce amylase in saliva, an enzyme dedicated to breaking down starch the moment it enters our mouth. That's not a random accident of biology. It's a built-in carbohydrate welcome mat. Studies of ancient remains also reveal worn teeth adapted for chewing fibrous plants, along with residues of starch grains stuck in fossilized dental plaque. If our ancestors had been thriving only on meat and fat, we wouldn't see so much evolutionary investment in carb processing machinery. Instead, humans became champions of adaptability, thriving on tubers dug from the ground, wild grains collected seasonally, and fruits plucked whenever available. This carbohydrate foundation shaped not only survival, but also longevity. Steady access to carbs meant consistent energy for long hunts, migration, and social bonding, which in turn supported larger communities and stronger family structures. And let's not forget the brain. Glucose was, and still is, the brain's favorite fuel. Some researchers argue that the expansion of the human brain was fueled by starches, because without that reliable energy stream, running such a power-hungry organ would have been almost impossible. Carbs weren't just food, they were evolutionary rocket fuel. Even after the dawn of agriculture, human history continued to highlight carbohydrate reliance. Civilizations rose around rice in Asia, wheat in the Middle East, and maize in the Americas. These foods weren't nutritional accidents. They were the cornerstones of cultures where people lived, worked, and often thrived into old age. It's telling that many of today's longevity hotspots still celebrate carb-heavy staples. Okinawans with their purple sweet potatoes, Sardinians with barley and bread, and Icarians with beans and legumes. The very foods that once sustained our ancestors continue to show up in places where people live the longest and healthiest lives. The modern obsession with low-carb eating tends to forget this deep evolutionary bond. Cutting carbs entirely is a bit like denying that humans ever walked upright or used fire. It just doesn't align with the reality of how we got here. Our bodies are not only capable of processing carbohydrates efficiently, they are designed to depend on them for optimal functioning. The idea that carbs are inherently bad ignores the nuance that our ancestors knew instinctively. Not all carbs are created equal, but the right ones, those from whole, natural sources, are lifelines of health. The funny part is that while we now spend billions on anti-aging creams and supplements, ancient humans were already practicing their own version of longevity simply by eating the carbs available to them. They didn't have quinoa marketing campaigns or low-carb cookbooks. They had tubers, fruits, and grains, and those foods powered them through the challenges of life. If anything, the lesson from our omnivorous ancestors is that carbohydrates are not the enemy of health or longevity. They are the foundation on which both were built. So when we talk about ancient diets, it's not about copying every detail of prehistoric meals, but about remembering the simple truth. Evolution gave us a digestive system that thrives on carbohydrates. They carried our species through scarcity, migration, and innovation, and they're still carrying us today. In a sense, every bite of rice, bread, or potato isn't just nourishment. It's a continuation of the same story that kept our ancestors alive long enough for us to be here telling it.